There is a story that ran in People magazine this month. Within days, the same magazine ran a second one. The two stories do not agree. The first one said Prince Harry would travel to Britain alone. His wife and children would stay behind in California. The reason given was security. Two familiar words. Then came the second story, dated the 26th of June. It said something different. It said Meghan is coming. It said Archie and Lilibet are coming too, for the first time since 2022. The calendar said otherwise. Most channels picked the first story. They built an entire mood around it. A father alone, an ocean between him and his children, a clock running down on a sick grandfather. It is a powerful picture. It is also 4 days out of date. This is a channel built on one promise. We read the documents, and tonight, the document changed under everyone's feet. So let us read both in order and see which one the record actually supports. Here is why this matters more than the usual royal noise. This audience has watched this family for 50 years and longer. You did not learn it from a book, you lived it. You remember where the boys stood in 1997. So when someone tells you a grandfather is running out of time with his grandchildren, it lands somewhere real. It should. But that is exactly why the dates matter. A story about a closing door is the easiest story to sell to people who care about family, and it pulls the right thread. The problem is simple. If the door is being held open at the very moment you are told it is shutting, then you are being sold a feeling, not a fact. Tonight is about telling the two apart. Because the people in this story are real. The grandfather is real. The children are real. The clock is real. And the question of whether anyone is using the time left is the only question that matters. We are going to give you the documents and let you decide. That is the whole job. Tonight we are going through the full picture. The Eton sentence and what it quietly tells us. The Invictus trip and the two versions of who is on the plane, Angela Levin's reading of Harry, and exactly where it holds and where it does not, the king's own words about his health in his own voice, and the one question underneath all of it, whether the window everyone keeps calling closed was ever closed at all. Let's start with Eton, because the way it was told matters as much as what was told. Kensington Palace released one line, Prince George will attend Eton College this September. That was the whole of it. No briefing the night before, no friendly interview, no explanation of what it means. The boy is 12. He turns 13 next month. The school was founded in 1440 by King Henry VI. 20 British prime ministers studied there. His father went there. His uncle Harry went there from 1998 to 2003. His great-uncle Earl Spencer went there too. So the choice carries weight. And it was handed over in a single sentence at noon. Charlotte and Louis stay at Lambrook for now. The family moved to Forest Lodge last year, choosing a quieter life. None of that was spun. It was simply stated. Now, the people we will be weighing tonight. Angela Levin is not a tabloid voice. She wrote a biography of Harry in 2018. After real time spent with him, she later wrote a book about Queen Camilla. She knew the man before the change everyone now argues about. That gives her claims a different weight than a random pundit. It does not make them facts. It makes them informed opinion from someone who was in the room. Then there is the king. In February 2024, the palace said he had cancer. It was found during treatment for an enlarged prostate. They never named the type. They never named the stage. For nearly 2 years, there was no detailed update. That silence let other people fill the gap with their own version. Keep that in mind. Because in December, the king filled it himself. We will come back to exactly what he said. For now, hold one fact. The last person to speak plainly about Charles's health was Charles. If you watched that funeral in 1997, you remember a small boy walking behind his mother's coffin. That boy is the father in tonight's story. He knows better than almost anyone alive what it means to run out of time with a parent. Hold that too. It will matter at the end. So we have 3 threads. A school announced without noise, a biographer who knew Harry before, a king who finally spoke for himself. Now watch what happens when you lay them next to the calendar. Let's start with the contrast everyone drew this month because it is real, and then watch it move. One branch of this family announced a child's school in one sentence at noon. The other branch, for years, has let news about its children arrive through unnamed sources in magazines. Those are 2 different ideas about what privacy is. That part is fair. By multiple accounts, the Sussex team has long preferred the carefully timed story over the plain statement. What we know publicly supports that read. So far, the competitor picture holds. Then the dates moved. The first People story this month said Harry would come to Britain for the Invictus countdown alone. Family staying home, security cited. Many channels stopped reading right there. They built the whole sad picture on that one paragraph. A father crossing an ocean by himself, children who will not see their grandfather. A clock running down. It is a moving picture. Here is the part the coverage skipped. On the 26th of June, People ran it again, updated. Meghan is coming. Archie is coming. Lilibet is coming. It would be Meghan's first time on British soil in 6 years. It would be the children's first visit since the Platinum Jubilee in 2022. That is not a small correction. That is the opposite of the first story. And there is more in that same reporting, and it is the receipt that changes the mood entirely. The king reportedly offered Harry and his family a place to stay on a royal estate during the trip. Think about what that means in plain terms. A man who is supposedly done with his son does not offer that son a bed under a royal roof. You do not offer your house to a family you have written off. The security problem the first story leaned on has a quiet answer in the second one. Stay on the estate, and the estate's protection covers you. The wall everyone described had a door in it the whole time. But the trip is not the only thing that was reported wrong. The clock was too. For nearly 2 years, people described the king's cancer however suited their story. Some said grim, some said hidden. The darkest version traveled fastest, not in remission, time running out. Then, in December, Charles spoke for himself on camera for a cancer charity. He said his treatment could be reduced in the new year. He called it a great personal blessing. The palace said he had responded exceptionally well, and that care was moving into a precautionary phase. The treatment reduced, the phase changed, the estate was offered. None of that is remission. The palace was careful, and so am I. But it is a very long way from a clock about to stop. If this channel is giving you the full picture that other channels skip, hit the like button. It genuinely helps us reach more people who want the dated version, not the mood version. So where does that leave Angela Levin? This is where I want to be precise. Levin has said more than once that Harry has changed, that he seems isolated from the family and friends he grew up with, that he has spoken of poor mental health. She has gone further, in her own words, and said she believes Meghan steered Harry into that isolation. She has even suggested Harry seems frightened of his wife. I want to be clear about what that is. That is Angela Levin's opinion. It is informed by real time with Harry before any of this. It is not a fact you can check from the outside, and it is not something the Sussex side would ever accept. Here is what can be checked, and it cuts in an interesting direction. Levin's reading is built on a man being pulled away from his family step by step, the distance widening and never closing. That is the pattern. So what do you do with a calendar that shows the whole family flying toward that same family with the king holding a door open? You do not have to throw the whole reading out, but you do have to set it next to a date that does not fit it neatly. The honest position is that both can be partly true. Harry may well be a changed and more distant man, and the door home may still be open. Those are not opposites. The mistake is letting the first one tell you the second one is impossible. Subscribe to this channel and drop a comment below. Do you think this trip is a real step toward reconciliation, or a managed event that changes nothing once the plane lands home? There is a defensible case either way. Now bring it back to the children, because they are the part no press strategy can fix. Archie is 7 this year. Lilibet has just turned 5. These are the ages when memory sets. The summers, the table, the people who tease you and become part of who you are. By multiple accounts, what they have not had is the ordinary, unglamorous version of extended family. Cousins. A grandfather who is just a grandfather. The first People story said that Gap would hold again this summer. The second one said the children are on the plane. Whether they meet the king is not yet confirmed. They are reportedly not attending public events, but they will be in the country, and the king has offered the family a roof. For the first time in years, the pieces are in the same place at the same time. The story said the family would stay apart. The calendar said otherwise. There is one more date worth holding, and it is the one that keeps the skeptics honest. Harry's security review is still not settled. The committee that decides his protection in Britain has an open file, so the estate offer is not a permanent fix. It is a bridge for one trip. That matters. It means this is a window, not a wall coming down for good. But a window you can step through is still a window. And right now, it is open. Look at the Eton sentence again with all of that in view. One school, one line, one quiet noon. The Waleses told the world a fact and walked away. No performance. The contrast with the timed, sourced, drip-fed Sussex style is real, and it is the strongest thing the competitor picture had. I am not taking that from them. What I am adding is the part they left out. The same week that proved that contrast also carried the news that the colder story about the absent family was already out of date. Both things are true, the styles are different, and the door is open anyway. Now let's bring this up a level because this is bigger than one trip. There is a habit in this coverage of letting the mood run ahead of the record. For 2 years, the absence of news about the king's health became permission to imagine the worst. Then the man himself spoke, and the worst version did not match. Robert Hardman, a serious biographer who has watched this reign closely, has described a king who seems as content as he has ever been. A man with genuine purpose, energetic about the job he waited his whole life to do. That is not the portrait of a clock about to stop. By every available signal, Charles is working hard and managing his illness, not surrendering to it. The same habit shaped the trip story. The gloom version traveled fast. The correction traveled slower. That is always how it goes. The sad story gets the clicks. The update gets the shrug. And so a lot of good people end up carrying a picture that the calendar quietly retired days ago. What observers keep noting is that this family communicates in two registers. One side states facts and lets them sit. The other side manages stories. But here is the twist most coverage misses. This month it was the quiet side that had the warmer news. The king opened the door, he did it without a press release. The plainest act of the month was also the kindest one. This is why the dated version matters so much. A feeling can be sincere and still be wrong about the facts. The honest read tonight is not that everything is healed, it is that the worst story, the closing door story, keeps getting contradicted by the next week's paperwork. That is a pattern too, and it is the one this channel exists to point at. To be fair, the other side has a real case, and I'm not going to wave it away. The skeptic would say this: a trip is not a reconciliation. The children are reportedly not attending any public events, so the visit may stay sealed off from the wider family. Meghan has been absent from Britain for 6 years, and one trip does not erase that distance. The security review is unresolved, so the estate offer could be a one-time courtesy and nothing more. And Levin's deeper point that Harry is a changed and distant man is not disproved by a single plane ticket. All of that has merit, it genuinely does. A photograph at an airport is not a healed family. Here is why it still does not fully hold. The skeptic's case explains why the door might not lead anywhere. It does not explain why the door was opened at all. A king who had truly written off his son does not offer that son a home for the visit. He does not have to. The offer is the tell. It is a small act, but small acts from careful people are the ones worth reading. The skeptic is right that nothing is finished. The skeptic is wrong to call the door a wall. Caution is fair. Despair is not supported by the documents. So let's go back to where we started. 2 stories, same magazine, same month. The first said a father would cross an ocean alone while his children stayed beyond a sick grandfather's reach. The second said the whole family is coming, and the grandfather offered them a place to stay. A story can be true on Monday and overtaken by Friday. The first one was not a lie. It was simply out of date the moment the second one ran, and the channels that built a whole mood on the first one never went back to fix it. Remember the boy behind the coffin. The man he became knows what it costs to run out of time with a parent. He, of all people, understands the clock in this story. And this summer, for the first time since 2022, the calendar shows him bringing his children toward the grandfather while there is still time to use. Maybe it leads somewhere, maybe it does not, but the window everyone keeps calling closed has a date on it now, and the date is in July. The Eton sentence is still one line at noon. The king's words about his own health are still in his own voice, and the question of whether this family uses the time it has left still has no final answer. What changed this month is only this. We were told the door was shutting, the calendar said otherwise. The saddest story is not always the truest one. Sometimes the truest one is sitting in next week's report, waiting for someone to read it. So here is the question for you tonight. Do you think this July trip is the real beginning of a thaw, with the king's open door leading somewhere lasting? Or is it a single managed visit that changes nothing once the plane turns west again. Both readings are defensible, and I want to hear yours. And if you lived this story from the start, tell me this too. Do you remember the last time you believed this family might find its way back to the same room, and what made you believe it? Drop your honest take in the comments below. Subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. And a like genuinely helps us reach more people who want the dated version, not the mood version. See you in the next one.